Okay, I'm just gonna keep going, even though I don't know how to deal with like the end of a video and going into the next one. So this is me continuing talking about like the DBT group stuff. Obviously, like it's anonymous. I'm not gonna give anyone's, like it's confidential. I'm not gonna give away anyone's information. But the other people in the group and me, like, you could tell that people were really nervous. Well, like in the first group, we talked about the homework and how you are expected to do the homework. And if you say at the next meeting that you have not done your homework, like you will be questioned about it, because it's just so important to make sure that people are practicing, because that's the only way they're going to remember it, right? And they want to figure out why you didn't do it and how they can help to make sure that you do it on the next one. Like they really want to, I could see it from their side. They really want to just make sure that people are doing the home practice to make sure they're actually going to learn the skills and remember it, right? Especially because it's one thing to learn something, but you have to know it really good to be able to still do it when you're in distress, or like when it's the difficult situation is happening, right? See, I didn't want, the problem was a lot of times something would come up in my mind during the lesson and I would want to say it. And I was really trying to like ask any questions I have and try really hard to be like, I'm going to get right in there, because I want to make sure that I am taking in whatever's being given to me here. Like, I need help. This is the help. I'm going to use it, right? Or at least try my hardest. And I did try, but it was hard. Like, because I don't want to seem like I'm always being critical, but that is kind of how my mind tends to work. Like, poke holes in whatever the person is saying. Like playing devil's advocate is very much, that's what I do. Basically, like, it's like my default. I'll always play devil's advocate, which makes people sometimes feel like that you're not with them, you're against them, kind of. When it doesn't mean that at all. Like, just because I sound like I'm disagreeing with you does not mean I actually disagree with you. I'm actually trying to strengthen your argument by seeing if these holes are accounted for, right? Like, but anyway, okay, what am I trying to say about the DBT group? Okay, so being questioned about why you haven't done your homework, like, you have done something bad, not done your homework, it was important to you to do it, and you have failed to do it. You probably are already going in feeling bad about it, right? And you are going in knowing that you are going to be questioned about it. So, like, maybe you've had some thought about what you're going to say. And then also, they have done these assessments so many times that they're very used to what people might say and solutions that might be offered by other people in the group and stuff, of how, like, you could have made sure to do it. And then there was also missing the meetings. I did miss some of the meetings. I was having a little bit of trouble with transportation and stuff, and, sick here and there, but I didn't miss so many meetings that I think I count as having completed the program at least. But yeah, like during one of the meetings, I could really tell how the person who was talking in the group was like, they were too emotional to understand how the skill that they were trying to use was supposed to work, which is Dear Man. Anyway, I don't know. I guess maybe the best thing to do would be to just go back to the beginning and say, like, this is how my experience was. So I went to the intro to DBT first, and that was with the same people running it as would be in the group, and it was going to be at the same place and everything. So, like, everything was going to be familiar, and they said, like, what DBT is all about. So there's 4 parts. And there's so many acronyms that I can't remember what the damn acronyms stand for. See, what happened was I started going to the group, and I was keeping all these notes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and look at these. I'm going to go back and look at these. But I guess I started not keeping up with that pretty quickly. And the amount of time, like, people were also supposed to talk, like, obviously there's a point of it being a group, right? So there's like a sharing kind of part, and then there's the learning part, and at the very end they talk about what the homework's going to be. So sometimes it ends up to be a little bit rushed, like, depending, especially how much people do the sharing, I assume, is the part where it can take up too much time, like. But of course you want people to share. The group, I could see, like, honestly, this is big to me. I could see the benefit of having the group, because sometimes, even if there's stuff that you are not ready to talk about, if someone else talks about something, even if it's not really that related, you can, like, make a connection there and see how, like, for instance, one of the girls there had ADHD, and I could see how, well, one thing I could see about her is how she actually was having accommodations. Like, she had noise canceling headphones sometimes. And she said that she knew, like, she couldn't really handle living like, she couldn't handle having a roommate, probably because of, I guess, noise sensitivities and that. Like, well, also just having ADHD does cause, like, annoying problems that might make roommates fight, right? Like, if you're not remembering to do the dishes or something like that, or leaving your cups out or something. For sure, it could be a tricky situation. Maybe you'd be better to be living alone, or with someone who's, like, a permanent in your life, like a sibling, right? But I mean, that could even be really bad. So just for me, like, when they, at the end of the class, when they'd be talking about the homework, they would spend so little time talking about it. Well, and plus you've just been learning the stuff. So, like, it's very fresh in your mind when the homework is being, like, explained. And then when you go home, and when you finally sit down, not the next day, you know, like a few days later, to try to do the homework, and you read what the homework is, you're like, oh no. And it feels like you have never heard about this before, basically. And that, like, now it's at, like, close to the last second already. And then you're thinking, like, I don't feel like I really get this. Like, I often felt like I could, like, after the fact, go back and say, oh, I used this skill for this. And then, like, write down a situation. Like, I guess what I was doing was identifying that I was already being skillful. But is that supposed to make me feel good? That's just such a disappointment. Because that means you're saying that you, like, this skill is actually not very useful to me. I'm already doing it. Like, so it didn't get me out of the situation that I'm in. It's not a skill that I need. And, you know, obviously, if there's a course that you're taking or whatever, if there's something you're doing to help people in the public, like, you don't know where they're at. So, of course, sometimes you're going to be teaching people things that some people would think that's obvious, okay, right? But, yeah. Well, like, I read a book about writing as a way of healing, and that was really cool. And I found that I was already doing it, which it was really nice to read that book. And I really did love it. I really appreciated it. And I have already known that because it's just so natural to me that I need to write to make sense of my thoughts and stuff. Like, it's really huge what it does for me. Like, I don't know. I guess there might be a certain, like, lack of narration that's automatically going on. Like, I kind of need to write it down to make it into a story in a way, like. And then it also allows you to see how the story is from your perspective, and how, like, what about this person? Like, what could have been going on with them? Like, what other factors are affecting them, you know, that you might know about? Like, sometimes you can really go a long way with that. Yeah, I don't know if I made my point at all. Oh yeah, okay. So, like, I was so desperate. Because I was so desperate for help, I was so desperate to go to this meeting every week, which was a 40-minute drive away, and I don't really have a very reliable vehicle. It also started in the winter, so sometimes like it was literally snow, like it was canceled from snow before. But so one time my van was having such a problem, right? And then, but it was my meeting and I didn't know what to do, and it was the next day. Like I knew that the van was having a problem for a while ahead of time, and I also knew that my appointment was then, and I knew that there was like no way I had of making it to that appointment. Like I had a few days where I could have been like, oh shit, okay, I figured this out, like maybe I can get a ride from someone. Like there's no bus or anything that would go there. But so I did not do this, right? And it was at the last minute. It was the day before, and I was like, how am I going to do this? So I Googled it. I Googled how long it would take to walk, and it said 7 hours. It will take 7 hours from your town to where you're going. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I think I'm not going to do that. It was already like late at night. It was like 11 p.m. And I was like, okay, so if I left at 1 a.m., if I slept for 2 hours, left at 1 a.m., I could make it. But, you know, it's just like eye roll. Obviously, I'm not going to walk for 7 hours. That's a bit far. So then I decided I was going to hitchhike. And that's what I did. I arrived very late, and with my life intact. But, so no one questioned me about anything. Like, I was coming to a meeting already happening, so there was no real chat at that time about anything. And when I told my husband what I did, he said, like, he was worried about it. He was like, you know, he was shocked by it, that I would have done that. And he said that I should tell them at the next meeting. I think because, like, he wanted someone to react the way that makes sense for people to react when you tell them that you hitchhiked somewhere, which is, you what, right? That's the correct response. Like, you could have died. Because that is how I thought about it. I thought I could have died. I thought it was really scary. I just did it anyway because I thought I really had to do it. Yeah. So when I brought it up, no one really said anything about it, but when I thought about it afterward, I was like, I wonder if the environment of it being a DBT group is what prevented anyone from saying anything about it, because you're kind of like specifically being told not to be judgmental, right? Like with the mindfulness, non-judgmental. I don't know. I was fine. Like, maybe I hitchhiked in a place where it's not the best. It was terrible on the way back. Like, obviously, once I was there, I didn't have any way of getting home either. So I had to fucking hitchhike home too. But I made it. Yeah. Do not recommend. I walked for 2 hours in the hot sun, and I have short hair now, and I'm not used to that as a woman who used to have really long hair, so I burnt my fucking back of my neck, and it hurt. It really did hurt. It felt real hot. Definitely felt like I was spared by the kindness of others who were actually willing to pick me up. Because it wasn't too many people.